Does your workday grind leave you downtrodden and empty? Are you feeling anxious about the coming holiday to the point where you're unsure you can cope? And does it all make you want to go super sane on the whole world? Hold on, wait a minute, take a chill pill. Essay here, and when I'm not sounding like a complete ignoramus on the computer, I'm also a published author, and I have a deal for you. Don't miss out on the thrilling and captivating American book series Glitch. This one-of-a-kind series combines literary fiction and crime, creating an adrenaline-fueled adventure to keep you on the edge of your seat. Available now on Kindle or paperback. Grab your copy today at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or your local bookstore. You won't regret it. The links are below in the description. And I'm not some one-hit wonder either. I got other books coming down the pike. So if I don't lose my mind and do something crazy...
Nation, Lois. For a minute there, you almost had me convinced. For a minute.
Bye-bye, baby.
You'll see those books soon enough. Now let's get back to the video. Hello there. Essay here. 17 years ago, Saddam Hussein was strung up. Now, of course, Saddam Hussein was not a nice guy. Nope, he was a bad dude. No joke. And anyone who is familiar with Buddhism knows the phrase bad karma. Well, he had plenty. And after doing all sorts of outrageous stuff, killing his political opponents, invading his neighbors, picking a fight with the United States, his bad karma caught up with him. His country was invaded, the Americans tracked him down, had a quick trial and a quicker hanging. However, this video is not about Saddam Hussein. It's about Nicolás Maduro. And of course, anyone who pays attention knows who he is. But for those of you who don't, he's currently the ruler of Venezuela. And you say, so what? Well, Maduro, he's walking down the primrose path to likely the same outcome as Saddam Hussein. And you say, who cares? Well, if you lived in South America right now, particularly in Guyana, you would care a lot. Because there's a piece of real estate down there called, and believe me, I don't speak Spanish, so bear with me, Guyana Escondiga. Sorry about that. And you say, what's so special about this piece of real estate? Well, nothing for the most part. It's just jungle and heat and heathens. However, recently something happened. And you say, what? Mobile, or I should say Mobil, the oil company, they went some prospecting down there. And guess what they found? Oil. And you say, well, good for the Guyanans, right? Wrong. It's bad news for the Guyanans. Because, you see, Guyana has had a long-term border dispute with its neighbor in Caracas, next door. And this thing's been going on for a very long time. How long, you ask? Back when the place was ruled by the Dutch in the 17th century. No joke, true. In fact, the Dutch ruled it until around 18th century when the British showed up. You know how the British love to colonize everything. And they took control of the place. And then, to make sure the Dutch didn't complain afterwards, the British had a treaty called the Anglo-Dutch Treaty that said that this is English territory now, get the fuck out. But what the English didn't count on was the people in Venezuela. Yeah. And indeed, the Venezuelans complained about it. They said, wait a second, you English, we still have claims on this piece of real estate. And we don't care if it's the people in the Netherlands or you knuckleheads, we still want our peace. And of course, the English told them, well, you can stick your claim where the sun don't shine because we don't give a shit what you think. You know, that's how the English, used to do things back during the days of the old empire. Well, guess what? The English are not there anymore. Yeah, the country got its independence I think, in the 1960s. Even though Guyana is still part of the British Commonwealth. Believe for them. That means when Prince Charlie Boy has a sit-down meeting, they can get invited. Yeah. Yeah, and that and $6.50 and get you a cup of coffee at Starbucks any day of the week. But anyway, the damn people in Venezuela basically, despite the rejection of their claims, pretty much let things slide. Especially they had a whole lot of problems going on with revolutions and takeovers by socialists and Marxists. But then the situation changed fairly recently. And now, here comes the Venezuelans with their old claim saying that, hey, we still have a claim on this territory. Even though, according to the history books, technically they don't. Because apparently Spain, when it ruled the place back in the 17th century, it had a settlement when the Dutch took over that piece of real estate. It was called the Peace of Munster. And no, we don't mean like Munster the mustard, or I should say the mustard the cheese, even though I think the peace treaty was actually signed in that city where the cheese Munster comes from. But anyway. And it basically said that the Spanish would basically rescind all claims on that piece of real estate. In other words, it's basically free and clear for the damn Dutch. Well, jump forward, 3+ centuries, and now these knuckleheads over there in Caracas, they say no. We don't care what the Spanish signed with the Dutch. We still want this piece of real estate. However, they only want to press their claim because of what ExxonMobil did. And you say, yeah, well, what's that to do with the price of tea in China? I'm getting to that part. Because remember what I mentioned earlier about Saddam Hussein? Okay, well, anyone who remembers the first Gulf War, it was a similar dispute. Yeah, you can check the history books. Because anyone who remembers the aftermath of the First World War remembers that the English and the French took out a big old map of the Middle East and started drawing lines everywhere. And when they did, they drew a line between Iraq and Kuwait and said, okay, here's the border now. Said there was one small problem. No one asked the people in Baghdad what they thought about that. And therefore, Saddam Hussein, he shows up years later, decades later in fact, saying, you know what? The English were wrong to draw that line where they did. I want that piece of real estate on the other side of that line. Now, why did he want it? Because that's where most of Kuwait's oil was at the time. Did he know that? Of course he did. That's why he wanted it. And of course, Anyone who's watching CNN knows what happened next. He invaded that territory. George Bush got on his soapbox and said, "This will not stand." And he and Margaret Thatcher and the collective West, with the loving arms of the United Nations hugging them, attacked Iraq and beat the crap out of them. Totally messed up their country, messed up their society. And then, of course, at insult to injury, they kept all those United Nations sanctions on the country for the next 13 years until Bush Jr. showed up and invaded the country outright and overthrew Saddam Hussein. And I'm not going to get into Bush Jr. and all his mess, because he is nothing but a bunch of mess. Yeah. Iraq conspired with Al-Qaeda to blow up the World Trade Center, my ass. Yeah, WMD's my ass. No, Bush Jr. just wanted to finish what his daddy started, that's all. That's what's going on there. Yeah, they're looking to avenge the Bush family honor by blowing up some third world country. Wasn't even thinking about them. But anyway, back to Maduro. When you look at what happened to Saddam Hussein, it looks like Maduro is walking into the same bear trap. Because the damn Maduro, he recently had a referendum. Yeah. Happened just a week or so ago. Where he basically asked the citizens of his country, do you want me, Maduro, to annex that piece of real estate, Esclub, blah, 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 whatever. And you know what the people of Venezuela said in their vote? According to the results, 95% of the people said yes. Even though how many people actually voted? That's a very good question. No answer. So now, as we speak, the Venezuelans are building up their army and sending them east towards Guyana. Just like Saddam Hussein did with Kuwait. Now, the next question is this. Is old Sleepy Joe, you know, the geriatric sitting in the White House, is he going to find his inner Bush 41 and say, this will not stand, and then send half the U.S. military down south to beat the crap out of the Venezuelans? That's a very good question. No answer. Because people who are old enough to remember the first Gulf War remember that old Bush 41 was a World War II veteran. And you can look it up. Yeah, even though he didn't look at it at the time, he actually fought in World War II. Yeah, he was a naval aviator. Got himself shot down by a Japanese. Could have died in the Pacific. It wasn't that submarine that found him floating out there in the ocean. But anyway, old Bush 41 clearly had a flashback of Nazi Germany invading Poland. And he's just scratched out the word Nazi Germany and Poland and replaced it with Kuwait and Iraq. And said, yeah, history's repeating itself. So there you go. Now, old Sleepy Joe is not a war veteran. I mean, he could have been sent to Vietnam. I mean, he was old enough. But he somehow ducked it. Why? I don't know. I think he may have got one of those deferments. You know, the same one that Dick Cheney and Rumsfeld got along with Bill Clinton. Yeah. And, of course, Trump. Yeah. So he doesn't know anything about war. Except maybe reruns of old John Wayne films on the TV. Like the Sands of Iwo Jima. Actually, a pretty good film. I saw that film as a kid. You should look it up sometime. Sands of Iwo Jima with John Wayne. Look it up. Good film. But anyway, anyone who is smart, anyone who's got more than one brain cell working, knows that right now the American military and the American government are juggling some serious balls. And no, I don't mean those kind of balls to get your head out of the gutter. No, I mean currently they're juggling the Ukraine ball. They're also juggling the Taiwanese ball. And finally, they're juggling the Israeli ball. And the last thing they need is for having to juggle a fourth ball. You know, taking on Maduro and the Venezuelans down there in the jungle. Yeah. Believe me, anyone who's old enough to remember Vietnam knows that the last thing the American military wants to do is to fight another war in a jungle. And of course, anyone who's paying attention knows that the American military's got a problem with recruitment. Yeah, nobody wants to join a woke military. People with pronouns in their bios, people pushing that DIE shit, that equity inclusion nonsense. And oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. The drag queen shows on military bases and these trans, I don't know what you call them. I mean, I'm not even bullshitting. I mean, if you got TikTok, go on TikTok and type in U.S. military drag queen shows, and you'll see those videos. And I'm thinking, and then you're wondering why nobody wants to join the military? I mean, forget about getting shot or getting blown by some landmine. I mean, do you want to join the military where your commanding officer is wearing a G-string and a halter top and 6-inch stilettos and goes by the name of she, her, except she's not a she, her because he's got, if you pull down that G-string, he's got a cock and balls down there? You want to join the military like that? If you got any self-respect, no. And right now, as we speak, we got some knuckleheads in the U.S. Senate talking about why don't we recruit some of these damn illegal aliens come across the border and put them in our military? Are you kidding me? They didn't come all this way to get killed. They came all this way to work at damn Popeye's chicken, or work at some damn ragged-ass pizza parlor in New York City. Or maybe just simply push a broom in some office building in the middle of the night and then send the money back to Africa or Venezuela or even Guyana, you know what I mean? They didn't come all this way for some jarhead to stick them in a uniform, give them a rifle and a 60-pound pack and say, yeah, I want you to go down south and fight the Venezuelans. And if we don't see you, we don't see you. What ridiculousness. So what's going to happen? Well, no man knows the future, but you can look at trends. And right now, it looks like that Maduro is about to make the biggest mistake of his life. And you say, well, that's on him. If he wants to be a moron and do something really stupid and have the Americans bring the hammer down on him in this country and smash it up the way Saddam Hussein's Iraq was smashed up, well, that's on him. I agree. I mean, the guy isn't some sock puppet. He has agency. In other words, he can choose not to do this. Now, will he? I don't know. But according to the brothers at the Duran.com, smart brothers too, they said that maybe he's beginning to slow his roll. Why? Apparently he's reaching out to the Russians of all people. And no, he's not asking old Vlad to send his army down there to take over Ghana for him. Not that Putin would, no. According to the brothers at the Duran, it appears that he is trying to get the BRICS nations to not so much support an invasion, but to give him some kind of diplomatic cover. And to wait for it, to even form some kind of working group to try to reach out to the Ghanaians and try to settle this thing peaceably. And of course, what the Ghanaians are thinking right now, not sure. But we do know that they made an official request to the United States for U.S. Military support. Now, of course, knowing what we know about old Sleepy Joe and those balls he's juggling, will he actually grant the people in Ghana their request? Don't know. But if Maduro, and believe me, I ain't betting no money on this at all, but if Maduro basically finds some common sense, he might just decide, you know what, invading my neighbor sounds like a really, really bad idea, and I'm not going to do it. Of course, I don't know, I'm not really betting any money on him doing that. I mean, what do you expect from a guy who the only job he ever had before the one he currently has was a truck driver? Yeah. And I'm not ragging on truck drivers. I mean, hell, my father used to be a truck driver. But going from truck driver to being a flunky of Chavez, who used to be the ruler of Venezuela before he got cancer and died, and then by just by pure accident becoming leader of Venezuela. Let's just say, if you wish they had someone else running that country, you would wish they would have someone else who had more than a high school education. I mean, you would hope. Yep. Maduro, he is facing his Saddam Hussein moment. Now, will he do what Saddam Hussein did? Or will he reconsider his options? Unfortunately, only God knows. And God ain't talking to me at all, so I don't know what Maduro's thinking. We can only hope, for Maduro's sake and for the people of Venezuela, that he doesn't do what Saddam Hussein did. Because if he does this and it goes wrong, just like the first Gulf War did, you might be reading something on the computer many years from now, where after Maduro's country got smashed up by the U.S. military, or what they use the coalition of the willing. Yeah, that nice little neocon phrase. And his country is smashed up, and he's run from power, and eventually the new government tracks him down and gives him, a kangaroo hearing. Maduro, just like Saddam, might have a long drop from a short rope, provided by the U.S. taxpayer. Yep. That can definitely be his future if he does the wrong thing. Well, that's all I'm going to say about those fools down south. And that's my opinion.